Steve, the NFC North. First time since 2002, all 4 teams in a division have at least 4 wins through 6 games.
Wow.
There's a chance all 4 go to the postseason. We'll see. It's week 6 is in the books. But what I want to do...
Hold on.
What?
With Atlanta beating my Carolina Panthers, I think that edged out one of the teams. Just fact checking. Just saying. It's a formula. It's a formula which I don't understand. I just know.
You're like a beautiful mind. I don't understand it, but I do know it. Let's go trust factor. Okay. I want you to rank your 4 and how much you trust them, and then I'll give you my 4.
All right. I trust Minnesota number 1.
Okay.
Because, it has nothing to do with the quarterback situation. I like both sides of the football, right?
Understand.
Brian Flores is doing an outstanding job. Offense is going. I don't believe Sam Darnold has that pressure that everybody thinks that he has. He's not asked to go out there and put everybody on his back. His job is to go out there and read and go through his progressions and throw the football to one of the top young receivers in the game, and then Jordan Addison and all these other players that they have, and Kevin O'Connor's doing a great job. Now, my number 2 is Green Bay.
Woo! We got different lists here. Let's go.
The Lions dropped to number 3 because of Aiden Hutchinson's injury.
I understand that.
I do not believe that you can now look at the Detroit Lions as a shoo-in with the absence of Aiden Hutchinson, because who is on the other side that now is going to pick up? The Detroit Lions have 15 sacks. 7.5 of them just went on IR, right?
They've lost other guys on that D-line too. So, yeah.
Yes. And so as they're losing some of the other guys and your top producer, that's going to put a little bit more stress on the secondary. So that's why I'll go with Green Bay number 2, Lions number 3, and Chicago at number 4.
Okay. Our lists are very different. I'm going to go with my number 1 being the Detroit Lions.
Okay. I understand that.
Understand.
The way they played is great.
And I will go the Vikings 2.
Okay.
Green Bay 3. Bears 4. The reason I had these 2 at the top, and first off, this division's outstanding.
Yes, it is.
These are like the top 4 teams in point differential. These are like the top 4 teams in terms of takeaways. Packers are 1, Bears 2, Vikings 3, Lions 7. Like, they all play well. What I'm looking at in the top 2, Steve, and why they're my top 2 are, what do I trust the most? I trust really good coaching, which I think Kevin O'Connell could be the front runner for the coach of the year this year. And I think Ben Johnson might be the best offensive mind in the division. So, and I also like Aaron Glenn, but I really like Brian Flores. So, like, I'm looking at who calls the plays on both sides of the ball for those top 2 teams. I think both of them are outstanding. I think the culture in Detroit maybe just edges Minnesota a little bit. When I saw that video, Steve, after that game, and Dan Campbell's giving out game balls to everybody, and they're emotional because of Aiden Hutchinson, and then Jared Goff gives his game ball back to the head coach and says, "This dude's our rock here moving forward," and he gives it back to Dan Campbell. It's like chill bumps right now thinking about that. I think they got a little something special in that locker room to try to overcome some of these things, and I wouldn't be surprised. They know their Super Bowl windows right now. They got a chip on their shoulder from a season ago, the way things ended, that they don't make a move for a pass rusher to try to help this group up front, knowing this is maybe our best chance right now. We just talked about Dallas earlier in the show. The window seems closed. 2-3 years ago, they were one of the best rosters in football. It can change very quickly. You better go after that championship when you got a chance. I wouldn't be surprised if they made a move for somebody up front. And the back end there keeps getting better. And a lot of these teams have deep weapons. The Lions, man, Amon-Ra St. Brown and David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs and Jamison Williams and Sam Laporta. Your man Tim Patrick is making major contributions.
Yes, he's back.
He's back.
About,
biggest
baby.
mistake the Broncos made, man. And that, if anybody's mentality fits that Detroit culture, it is a grinder like Tim Patrick.
And he's a heck of a blocker. He's a heck of a blocker as well. So he's not going to go in there. And when he's in there, it's only a pass. He's going in there and blocking as well.
Snaps keep going up for him, and they might have the best offensive line in football. So, I mean, that's why I think I have them. Yeah, I think they do.
They, too, have the best offensive line.
Yes. So that's why they're my 1. I think the Vikings have been outstanding, but I do fear the quarterback a little bit more in terms of consistent play.
I don't fear him. I don't fear who he is. This is obviously a guy who sat around and understood and has
Now he's got the
been
fit
put in a best position, and Kevin O'Connell knows exactly what kind of quarterback he has, and
and
that's
knows
the
the
best
levers to
part.
pull. I agree, because the funny part is, tell me if I'm right on this. I think Jordan Love might be the best quarterback in the division. Caleb Williams is maybe the most quote unquote talented.
Yeah.
But the
Okay.
other two, and Jared Goff and Sam Darnold, are the two guys that are in the top 5 in passer rating. Like, they're
Yes.
the two guys that run their offense really, really well, don't
Yes,
make a
they
lot
do.
of mistakes, know when to hit the plays, know when to distribute the football. And so I think that's what makes this division really interesting too, because Jordan Love is as talented as it gets in the NFL.
Yeah.
And his group is outstanding. Jeff Hafley had some questions. Defense has been playing pretty well. He's turned the football over a little bit, Jordan Love, but it looks like, the defense has turned it over as well. So it doesn't really, it kind of goes back and forth. He can play that aggressive style if the defense keeps
Yeah.
going that way. The surprise of it, and let's talk about him, and what's your opinion on the Bears? This is an outstanding defense
Yes.
that is going under the radar once again because they were great the second half of last year. And Caleb Williams is starting to find a rhythm in a sense.
Yeah.
But if I'm talking about the coaching, I'd say Shane Waldron's the one with the biggest question mark in terms of play callers in this entire division.
Well, I know Coach Eberflus is calling a defense in the game. However, his defense coordinator, Coach Eric Washington, he's outstanding. He was in Buffalo. He's a great defensive mind. He's doing an excellent job. He's assisting Coach Eberflus on the play design, how they're going to do the pressures. When I was out there for Hard Knocks, watching that defense really shows me that the offense for the Chicago Bears has the ability to make mistakes because the defense is going to get them there. What I am only concerned with, though, is Shane Waldron. He doesn't seem to be as consistent, right? There's been a lot of conversations and an inconsistency in running the football, and so when you don't run the football earlier on, and you have to have
Anderson's been pretty
players
good the last couple of weeks. It's gotten better,
yes,
but you're
pretty
right.
good for the last couple of weeks.
Yes,
But
you
you
are
use
right.
the key word. That's a problem.
couple weeks.
He's gotten better. What was the reason for bringing in DeAndre Swift? Because he's the all-around back. He allows you not to take him out in the pass plays. He runs downhill, so he's your every down back. So he doesn't do anything to make you tip your hand on what kind of play it is. So I'm just worried that they're going to have 2 or 3 games where they kind of look like their old self, and that's going to cost them.
I can see that.
That's going to cost them, and then all of a sudden that's going to put them on the road throughout the playoffs.
How fun is this, though? Like, nobody's played each other yet. First one this week, Steve, is the one I'm going to be at. I'm going to go to Lions-Vikings.
Okay.
And I got to be there because this division is going to be outstanding. Let me ask you this. What is your favorite skill group in this division? Because there's some talented. I mean, Chicago's got a group of 3 receivers, and Cole Kmet's coming back on as a tight end, and you mentioned Swift, and obviously the Vikings have the best receiver in football, and a great addition in Jordan Addison, and T.J. Hawkinson's coming back. Aaron Jones. These skill groups are great in the division.
So the skill groups that I would say just all 3. 1A for me has to be the Green Bay Packers because I've seen them in person. I see their depth and they're young, right? There's no old head out of the group that you're gonna say, well, when he goes down, they're chomping at the bit. And listen, Christian Watson is one, I think, possibly the odd man out if he doesn't stay healthy. That they have like Wicks, Dobbs, Watson, Reed, right? Milton as well. He's in there.
And you got a back.
And so you got that. And then you got Chicago with Keenan Allen, who's playing in the slot. Then you got DJ Moore, who's balling, right? And I just go out there and throw it out there. After DJ Moore played the Carolina Panthers, I texted him and said, yo, I need to see that every game now, that dog that showed up. And he said something to me. He was like, I didn't think I had it like that. I said, well, that's what I'm expecting from you every day moving forward. And he
didn't think you had it like that.
He was feisty now. He said a few cuss words. He was feisty. The reason why I have not picked the Lions because I know the Lions are still filling themselves out. The Lions just do things differently. They're built differently. They attack you in different ways. But for Minnesota and Chicago, the strength is their wide receivers. With the Lions, I don't think the Lions' strength is the wide receivers. I think the Lions' strength is their offensive line. And that offensive line makes everyone good. And so I don't believe the Lions have really hit their stride in a passing game
No.
yet.
They're putting points on the board, Steven, and Jared Goff's throwing 18, 17 passes a game.
Yes, but they still haven't had that 30 pass game where all of a sudden, like like Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay just put a mollywhopping on New Orleans. They were just putting the ball down the field, right? He had 3 interceptions, but yet they were still doing things that were outstanding. So that's kind of where I kind of rank them, but it's not a ranking of who's better. At the end of the day, these 4 teams, there are people right now who would love to have the problems that they have right now.
100%. 100% agree.